happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. The images of dead children and desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety, sometimes displaced for the second, third, or fourth time. We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
Well, let's unpack all of this a little bit more with Muhannad Ayyash in Calgary, Canada. He's a professor of sociology at the Mount Royal University. What's your view then? Is Kamala Harris's position on Israel and Gaza different enough from Biden's that it could have an impact if she were to get the top job? Or is this all about optics right now, all about appealing to voters as she seeks that nomination?
Thank you for having me. It is all about optics. It is all about trying to gain back some of the voters that the Democratic Party has lost since the onset of the genocide and the United States active participation in the genocide of the Palestinian people. There was absolutely nothing that she said that was different than what Biden has been saying for the last month or so, or even longer. Biden has also been saying that a ceasefire needs to happen now. He's also talking about the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination and the two-state solution, and all these talking points that are just as meaningless coming out of Biden as they are coming out of Kamala, as they are coming out of Trump. Trump himself also is saying the war needs to end now. So nothing really was new in this speech. There was a difference in tone, in delivery, in optics, like you said, and I do believe that that is all driven for the purposes of electoral calculations for the Democratic Party, not for any real change in American policy at the moment.
None of this, then, in your opinion, is likely to get us further towards a ceasefire deal, I guess, then, is your thought on all of this. What do you make of Netanyahu's visit overall?
I mean, look, a lot of people are explaining Netanyahu's visit as also part of his own internal political calculations and desire to solidify his own political position within Israel. That look at his, ability to go to the U.S. and make U.S. Congress stand in ovation more times than they've ever stood in ovation, and look at all of the power he has and all the influence he has within the U.S. and look at how strong the relationship between Israel and the U.S. is, despite all of these difficulties that they're facing in their relationship, quote unquote difficulties. That's kind of part of his own political messaging. But the facts on the ground speak a very different story than the one being played out in these discourses. So let's actually go back a little bit to Kamala Harris saying, I support the two-state solution and the Palestinian right to self-determination. Well, just last week, the International Court of Justice released in its advisory opinion in very, very clear terms that the Israeli state is standing in the way and does not intend to allow the Palestinians to realize their right to self-determination. They're not doing that with just one policy or one political party or any. It's very structural. Israel's policies and practices, and that includes a whole host of policies dealing with all sorts of issues, from settlements to movement to the wall, to resources, to water distribution, to taxes, economic development, a whole host of policies that the Israeli state is practicing that amount to apartheid and an intentional settler colonial project to annex as much of the West Bank and now the Gaza Strip as possible, including East Jerusalem. So if Kamala Harris is going to be serious about the two-state solution, then right away every single journalist should ask her, okay, well, the ICJ says Israel does not want it. Israel now has also, by the way, stopped playing the sort of the pretend game, and they've outright said, we have no interest in seeing a Palestinian state, and we don't want the two-state solution. So any journalist who is a real journalist should ask her immediately, well, how are you going to force the Israelis to do something that they are saying they don't want to do, and all of their policies and practices indicate that they don't want to do? So what are you going to do to force them to change? And so far, we've heard crickets on all of these fundamental questions. So that's why this is all just show. This is all for show. This is all for power games and political calculations, and nothing is serious about it until the U.S. comes up with a concrete plan and says, a U.S. politician comes and says, okay, I'm going to cut off the military aid to Israel unless they do A, B, and C. Unless something like that happens, then there's no policy shift.
All right, well, Muhannad, I'm sure if she comes on TRT World, I'll be sure to ask her. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.